Time for the only radio show of its kind. Auctioneers of antiques, collectors of cool, veterans of vintage. It's the Donley Auctions Hour on AM 560, The Answer. For the next hour, enjoy great information about buying and selling antiques and collectibles, and some interesting stories. Now, the Donley Auctions Hour.
Welcome to the Donley Auctions Hour. Thank you for joining us. We are here every Saturday from 1 to 2 p.m. I'm Susan, and I'm here with Randy Donley. We are the owners of Donley Auctions in Union, Illinois. Folks, we're just 60 miles west of Chicago out in the beautiful country. We're here today to help you determine if you have any valuable items at home that you may want to sell at auction. Good morning, Randy.
Hey, Susan.
What a crazy week at Donley Auctions.
Oh, hasn't it been?
Where do we begin?
Well, I think we, just mentioned some of the shows that we were at this
Some of the highlights,
week.
Yeah. Let's get into it.
We were at the big Civil War show at DuPage County. Civil War collectors from all over the country attend that, and we're always set up there because, of course, we're always looking for the next big consignment.
Yeah, and you met some people from the radio show, too, I hear.
Yeah, quite a few,
nice.
Actually.
Thanks for coming by.
Yeah, it's always nice. And then we were set up at the toy show in Kane County.
In St. Charles,
yeah. Toy show. So, again, always looking for more, folks, more toys, more military souvenirs and relics, uniforms, guns of all kinds. And
that's right. Those items sell very well. So if you do have anything in your house, basement, garage, attic, vintage toys, antique toys, like the wind-up toys, the cast-iron toys sell really well.
Yeah.
A lot of the vintage stuff nowadays. And then, like you said, military uniforms, helmets.
Sure.
Firearms, big ones.
So that's what we were doing last week. And, of course...
my highlight of the week
is what?
Was Sean Thompson from AM 560 came to broadcast live.
That was Wednesday, yeah. Oh, was that fun?
Facility on Wednesday. What an honor that was. Boy, people were lined up to see him. Great turnout. He had a great show. I don't know what to say. I just want to thank him for coming out, and also to Eric, his production team. Wow, they made us look good, didn't they?
Oh, really?
Both of them.
Always,
it was fantastic. Yeah. What a great honor to have Sean Thompson on the show. So thanks everybody that came, those that called in on the radio with him.
And I want to mention too that there were actually, customers of ours who were there for the auction, the auction preview.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't know about the Sean Thompson show. So if you have ever not been a Sean Thompson fan, you must turn into his show. Try it. It's every day. Monday through Friday from 4 to 7. So
that's right. It's like therapy for me because he says everything that I can't. So I love listening to Sean.
You bet.
So good week at Donley Auctions. A lot coming up. Let's touch a little bit about things you need to mark on your calendar.
Well, one thing, of course, we've got coming up is the big May military auction.
Firearms and military.
Guns and military,
yes.
Right. And to that point, I said we were at the Civil War show. And what a neat item that we got consigned to us.
I heard.
Oh,
can't wait to hear about it.
Well, you will. I mean, we're going to talk about it right now. And that is the actual, if you are out there and have not heard about the Jesse James raid on the town of Northfield, Minnesota, back in what year was that?
1876.
1876. Yeah. It was one of the most historic bank robberies of that whole
in
Old
American
West
history.
Period.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It was just crazy historic. And so we actually were consigned the sheriff of Northfield, Minnesota.
Sheriff Gilspin.
Yeah. We were consigned his pistol, which actually, he used during the raid at Northfield, Minnesota. And with this gun, he shot and killed one of the gang members, Charlie Pitts.
That's right. What kind of gun is it?
It's a Colt.
It's a Colt.
Colt pistol.
44?
Sure. Well,
I think it's a Colt 44.
Probably big caliber. Big hand cannon is what those things
I can't believe
were.
we actually got to touch and hold that piece.
It's real history.
It's a part of history, right?
It really is historic. I mean, that's when law and order really meant something, and the sheriffs did what they had to do to protect
so did the
public.
townspeople. They all stood up and kept an eye on the bank. And
well, that's what's so interesting, Susan, about this particular robbery is that the town had been alerted. They actually had some pre-knowledge that the Jesse James gang may be coming to their town. They didn't know exactly when, but everybody was pretty much on guard and kind of watching, to see anything unusual. So when these riders came into town and approached the town and were out in front of the bank, everybody started running for their guns. And when they were aware that it was the Jesse James gang, the gang was almost like in a fishbowl. I mean, people were up on the roofs, looking out the windows, all firing at the gang, and it was
right. And it was a failed bank robbery attempt. They didn't even get the money. There was $15,000 in the safe there. They couldn't get to it. The guy was off that day. Yeah. They couldn't unlock it. They ended up killing the bank teller.
Yeah.
And then they all escaped.
Horrible. Yeah.
They all escaped. So the entire town, hundreds of them, went on the biggest manhunt you can imagine to go track these guys down.
Yeah.
And then 2 weeks later, another big shootout happened.
Right. And that's when Glispin actually did shoot,
Charlie Pitts.
Charlie Pitts.
That's right. And it's my understanding that Donley's Wild West Town actually did a recreation of this bank robbery at the town.
It's so
in
funny.
In the 80s, right?
Because this is almost like a big round robin, a big circle comes all the way back, never knowing that we were going to get this very famous firearm for auction. We recreated that, and we actually hired reenactors from all across the country. And they would come in, and perform this on the Labor Day weekend. That was a big highlight at Donley's Wild West.
Did you have a part in the show, or were you just managing it?
No, you know what? Back in those days, I simply announced it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. I checked. Also, there's no documentary, no movie about this bank robbery or anything. I think we have a screenplay in the making. We'll have to figure something out with that. But wow, that firearm is coming up for auction.
It is. And, we
May 20th.
I'm sorry. We talk all the time about provenance, right?
It's important.
And this gun actually comes with a letter from Glispin's granddaughter. Back in 1951, she wrote the whole letter about this is my grandfather's pistol and everything.
There's a whole packet of information here. That's amazing.
Yeah, she was still living in Northfield at the time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
it's a great story.
That's just one item coming up. And we want to thank everybody always for all the calls we're getting, because the merchandise is definitely rolling in.
Flowing in the doors. That's right. But back to the gun real quick, too. We'll talk in an upcoming segment of today's show how you can actually bid on the gun. So don't go anywhere until we get a chance to tell you, if you're interested in that, how you can bid on that firearm.
But let everybody know what's coming up in the next episode, too.
Oh, next episode, yes.
Our guest.
All right, we have a special guest. Her name is Vicki Lutz. She's the daughter of a man named Monty Lutz, who was a ballistics expert during the JFK assassination.
He's best known, although he's extremely famous for many other reasons. Monty Lutz did the ballistics testing on the shell casings and everything for the JFK assassination. And we do have coming up at auction in November the complete Lutz collection, which is just...
I was looking at the display today. It's amazing.
Isn't it?
If you ever get a chance to come out to Union, we'll be happy to give you a tour of all of the items that are in the display case coming up in November. But Vicki, the daughter of Monty, whose collection this belongs to, is going to tell us a little bit more about that in our next segment.
Yeah.
So stay tuned, folks. We have a lot coming up. We want to mainly focus on the items we're looking for upcoming auctions. We do get a lot of calls for things that really don't fit into anything coming up. That's why we keep pounding in what's coming up, and now is the time to consign. Like we get a lot of calls for furniture. Furniture is a tough sell.
It is.
Furniture is a tough sell these days, to be honest.
Right now, the young people who are setting up homes and apartments and everything today, they're just not buying antique furniture.
No, big, huge, heavy carved wood pieces. Yeah, that's just not what they're looking for.
But we will sell furniture if it's extremely well
ornate.
Carved. Heavily carved scenes and everything, and or a lot of designer furniture, mid-century modern from the 60s and 70s.
True.
Actually sells well as long as we know, who made it and what designer.
So when we do get questions about, I have this and that in my home, we want to be very specific about what we're looking for because there's a lot out there and a lot of it's not valuable, but a lot of it is. That's why we want to make sure we give you that opportunity to talk to us and so we can evaluate it.
And we'll always give you a free evaluation.
That's right.
Absolutely.
That's right. Coming up next, folks, don't go anywhere. We're going to be talking to Vicki Lutz about the JFK assassination memorabilia. We have an auction coming up in November. She'll be our guest. So you are listening to the Donley Auctions Hour right here on AM 560, The Answer.
They've been called auctioneers of antiques, collectors of cool, even veterans of vintage. And they can introduce themselves. Thanks for listening. This is the Donley Auctions Hour on AM 560, The Answer.
Welcome back to the Donley Auctions Hour. I'm Susan, co-owner of Donley Auctions in Union, Illinois. And Randy and I have a special guest today. We have Vicki Lutz on the phone. She is the daughter of Monty Lutz, a ballistics expert. We're going to talk more about all of that in a second here. But good morning, Vicki. Thank you for joining us. I heard you also had a radio show at one time.
Well, it wasn't totally a radio show, but I used to work for the circus parade in Milwaukee, and they would bring me on a radio show like you've done today and have me talk about the great circus parade in Milwaukee.
Yeah,
wow.
That's interesting.
Wow. When was that?
Oh, that had to be in the 80s.
In the 80s. Okay. Interesting. Well, we are happy you joined us. We want to talk about your dad and the JFK memorabilia we have at our Donley Auctions facility that we're going to be putting up for auction in November.
Yeah. Vicki, again, the collection itself is just absolutely incredible. I mean, the things that are involved, I mean, we have to kind of paint a visual picture for our listeners out there about what all's in the case. I mean, let's start just with the rifle. We have an Italian Carcano exactly put together by your father, I might add, an exact version of the gun that actually killed our president in 1963, correct?
That is correct. It is the Italian Carcano, and the hardest part for him to find was the cheap scope that he used that day. The guns are easy to find, but the scope is what makes it unique.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And he also has a camera that's exactly like Zapruto used in the filming.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Again, there's so much involved in this collection that your father actually used for his ballistics testing and everything. But I want to touch on this gun again. The Italian Carcano in the case is actually the one that was later used in the movie about Oswald.
Yes. A couple years after he finished the House Select Committee stuff, he was contacted by London TV, and they made a movie called On Trial, Lee Harvey Oswald, which you can find on the internet. And they flew him and my mother over there. Vince Buglioso was a prosecutor, and Jerry Spence was the defense attorney in the movie. And so Dad had this gun he had put together, and so he flew to London with it, and they used it in the movie. And then when he got ready to leave, they wanted to make him a guest of the Queen, and they didn't know how he had gotten that gun in there, so he had to go through some rigmarole and got it out. So it has the Queen seal still on it.
It is still there.
I saw the tag.
Yeah.
Yes, that's amazing.
Very interesting. And now this grouping, again, we're going to be auctioning it off in November because, of course, it's the 60th anniversary of the JFK assassination.
60 years. Wow.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that's 60 years ago already. Wow.
Yes.
But we all remember what we were doing, of course. Not Susan, because she's not that old.
I was not born yet. Yes, thank you for reminding me.
again, an incredible grouping. All the paperwork. Explain what all that the volumes of paperwork are that go along with this.
Okay, well, the paperwork he used, like his personal notes and photos and stuff, he had bound in books. And there's photos and the ballistics findings and that type of thing. I think there's about 4 or 5 volumes on John F. Kennedy. And he also did Martin Luther King, and there's work he did on that. In addition to him, it was a 5-man panel, and they would meet once a month for a week in Washington, re-examine all of the evidence and that, and then come up with their conclusions. He also testified. He was the person who testified before the House Select Committee on this assassination. And there's a collection of, unfortunately, VHS of the entire House Select Committee hearings that went on. And that is there in the collection as well. They gave them to the 5 guys who participated, and they're all labeled and have who all is speaking.
Yeah, it's again a phenomenal grouping, and I applaud you that you're keeping it together as one grouping. And we talk all the time about provenance of items and everything, and the fact that this is coming directly from you, from the actual family, and all the documentation that goes along with this grouping is absolutely incredible. But people should also know your father's really had a great military career also, and I see that in this grouping you've included all of his military medals and everything.
Yes. He started out as a private. He served in Germany when the Berlin Wall went up. He was General Abrams. He was assigned to protect General Abrams' family when we were in Germany. And then from Germany, he went to Hawaii. And Hawaii had only been a state for 2 years, so the military were the police force. It was called Honolulu Armed Service Police. And he served there. I have his patches from that and his armband. Also, while he was there, a teletype or, an announcement came through. We were in Hawaii when Kennedy was shot. And I have a copy of that mimeograph sheet that he got that day at the police station as well.
Oh, my gosh. Is that part of the collection?
Yes, it is.
It is. Okay. I have not seen. I got to look that one up. Yeah. That's amazing, Vicki.
And it's my understanding, too, that there's actually some documents that, theoretically have not even been released. From the, isn't it from the House Select Committee, your father's notes and everything on all this?
Yeah, they said, I've seen several places say that they will not release the House Select Committee findings till 2027. Uh-huh. I know sometimes they do release some of the stuff, but they redact a lot in that. The fact that those VHS videos are there is just, everything that was said right before the House Select Committee.
Wow. Yeah,
thank goodness for converting things to digital now.
Right. Yes, that could definitely be converted to a CD. So the VHS tapes are in there, the Carcano rifle, the documents in those binders. What else is in the collection? The camera.
Yep.
Yeah.
What are all the shell casings? Are those actual shell casings that he would have obtained from firing that weapon and so on?
I don't remember the shell casings. I know that the ammo, the brand of ammo that was used was very rare, and he has some of that in there. There's different head stamps, and they actually had to come up with that ammo in order to do a proper comparison test. And there's some of that in there, and I'm sorry, I forgot about the shell casings, and I don't know if those were from the I'd have to take a look at them again. Okay. I'm not clear on that.
I was so lucky to have met your father. While he was still alive and with us, he was quite the again expert on vintage ammo, and he was nice enough to help me over the years with ammo, identification that we were doing in former auctions, and again, it was so sad when he passed.
When did Monty pass away, Vicki?
August 6th last year.
It was last year,
Yeah.
not that long ago. Wow.
No. Yeah, and in addition to that, he also did the Martin Luther King assassination, and that
right.
paperwork is there as well.
Did he also do Bobby Kennedy?
No, one of his buddies did that, Pat Garland, and he provided Dad with all the paperwork, and he had that bound also.
I see. Uh-huh.
Well, how did you find us, Vicki? You've come to our auctions before, and I want to hear more about that in our next segment. I would love to hear how we met you. I feel like I've known you forever. You've been around the auction gallery a lot lately, so we appreciate that. But don't go anywhere, folks, because we're going to keep talking to Vicki. I have some more questions for her. But you are listening to the Donley Auctions right here every Saturday at 1 o'clock on AM 560, The Answer.
You're listening to the Donley Auctions Hour on AM 560, The Answer.
Welcome back to the Donley Auctions Hour. I'm Susan and Randy Donley.
I'm Randy Donley.
Randy Donley's here. We have our special guest on the phone with us today, folks, Vicki Lutz. Her dad was the ballistics expert during the JFK assassination and Martin Luther King and all kinds of stuff. Vicki, you have such an amazing father.
Yes, I did. He was definitely a character. I had trouble keeping up with him.
Did you have siblings? Do you have siblings?
No, I was an only child, and I could never have children. So that's why this collection needs to be put into the hands of someone who can carry it forward for me.
Wow, I didn't realize that.
And Vicki, it's amazing that that you've gone the auction route, because there are so many of your father's friends that I know want this collection, and how else could it be fair? I mean, you can't just give it or sell it to one person or another. I mean, the auction process is really the fairest way for anybody to really settle an estate, because so often there's so many people that want things, and what better way than to put it at auction and let everybody have the same opportunity
and to keep it all together.
Oh, I think that was genius.
We want to keep it together. Yeah. So, Vicki, how did you find us?
Well, I used to be an auctioneer in St. Charles, and when I started out, I would always get to know the other auctioneers, and it's a great community. They help you. Of course, you have a lot of fantastic gun auctions, and that's what really drew us there. And once we started coming there, we loved it. I mean, we look forward to the pizza in the afternoon, and, of course, the attention from Tucker. And like I've said, it's like going to a museum with the option to buy. That's
right. That's great. So you found us. You came to the auction. You saw what we do. You were happy with what we do and decided to consign not only your dad's JFK collection, but I see you bringing in stuff every time you come in the door.
Yeah, he had quite a varied interest in life, everything from postcards to movie projectors, and he just loved everything that he could get his hands on. It was what he did in retirement, go to auctions and put stuff together and just enjoy it.
In our upcoming May guns and military auction, I see that you have a really incredible collection of World War II black and white photographs that is going to be coming up.
Yeah, tell us that story. I heard your dad would go buy film that was not paid for. I want to make sure I get that story right. Tell me about that one.
Yeah, he went to another auction and bought this box full of envelopes of photos that no one had ever bothered to open in that. And he got them home, and we started opening them, and we found that it involved Camp Lejeune around World War II era, I think maybe even up into Korea, and it in particular focused on the Black Marines that were serving at that time, which is very unusual.
And it's so incredible to have, this photographic documentation. I mean, most of these photographs have probably never been seen because they weren't taken by a military official. I mean, these aren't official military photographs that have all been published before. Most of this is, done with private citizens or soldiers and their own cameras. So I would have to say most of what we're going to be selling has never been seen by the public.
Yes, I think you're very right on that. And these guys would do some funny things. One of them, I think, was a contortionist.
Wow.
And they would stage different poses and really look like they were enjoying their time there, getting ready for their next assignment.
Wow. Yeah. What a period of time.
And you're working with us on getting those organized and described. Is that correct, Vicki?
Yes, I am. I worked on that last week. I think I got a pretty good start and should be able to finish that up.
Well, that's one thing I love about our consignors as well. Some of them want to be hands-on and be in there and help us identify what they own, what they have. So that is helpful. We welcome that as well.
Absolutely. What better way to get the descriptions accurate than from the owners themselves?
That's right. So, Vicki, we'll see you soon back at the office. And thank you so much for your time with us today. What fascinating stories and what a great father. We're happy to know you.
Yep.
And we'll see you. We'll see you at our next auction for sure.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate all the hard work you guys put into things.
Well, thank you. We appreciate you as a consignor and a friend and now a coworker.
Well, thank you.
Folks, don't go anywhere. Coming up next, we want to talk about some amazing swords we received this past week. I want to touch on those a little bit, Randy, those Japanese swords.
Yeah, we got a great collection of Japanese swords that came from a listener. Thank you.
Yeah, we love our listeners. Again, you need to just send us an email with photos. Mm-hmm. Tell us what you have. Although this gentleman did not have email, so he called and was able to get, we gave him your number and you talked to him direct, and boom, next thing you know, they're in our auction gallery coming up in May. So join us after the break, folks. We're going to be talking more about specific items we're looking for in our upcoming auctions. You're listening to the Donley Auctions Hour every Saturday at 1 o'clock on AM 560, The Answer.
And now, more of the Donley Auctions Hour on AM 560, The Answer.
Welcome back to the Donley Auctions Hour. Thanks for hanging with us. We had a very interesting guest on in our last segment, Vicki Lutz, and the JFK assassination display that we have. If you'd like to come out and see that, give us a call at 815-923-7000. We'd be happy to set up a private appointment and a viewing of just the JFK collection if you'd like. But we're also looking for more memorabilia to add to it to our November auction.
Susan, in one of our last shows, we talked about finding a cannon right here in Palatine.
What is it about cannons? We seem to keep finding cannons.
So the gentleman comes in and he's consigning some pistols to us. Mm-hmm. And he said, I heard about the cannon. He said, I just saw another cannon in a corn crib in Wisconsin. He said, I'm going to work on getting that for the auction. I mean, there's stuff out there. You just don't know where stuff is going to turn up. That's why we keep
telling everybody what we're looking for, because you never know what you're going to run across. Like, for example, we have a Polish uniform. Tell them about that.
We've got a fabulous grouping from World War II of Polish officers' uniform. The gentleman was a doctor during World War II, and he came to the United States and carried on his practice after the war, but of course had his uniform that he brought with him. All of his World War II relics he brought along. So we were talking about that again on one of the other episodes, and one of our listeners called us with a Polish officer's sword.
That's right.
So, I mean, that's how we build auctions. Sometimes one item at a time, sometimes a whole collection. We can build a whole auction around one collection very often, like the phonograph collections coming up in June.
That's right.
That's all, two people had over 100 phonographs apiece.
That's crazy. But I know that from our listeners, we're getting some great merchandise, like those Japanese swords. I had mentioned earlier that the gentleman doesn't have email. Some of the people with great collections just aren't technical savvy right now. So give us a call anyway at 815-923-7000. We'll give you Randy's phone number direct.
My cell number,
You can talk to Randy, and he'll walk you through the next steps. And he ended up mailing those swords to us immediately, and we've got some fantastic Japanese swords coming up in the May military auction as well.
That we do. And, earlier today, folks, we were talking about that pistol with great provenance from Northfield, Minnesota, from the Jesse James raid on the town. We have the sheriff's pistol coming up. But not only that, just locally, again, we are acquiring, we're actually going to pick it up today after the show. We're going to go pick up Wyatt Earp's vest. Not only Wyatt Earp's vest, but a small pocket derringer that Wyatt Earp carried. And again, this has provenance. This has letters of authenticity and everything with it. So that will be coming up also in the May auction.
Wow, it's going to be a great auction. May 20th, folks. Mark your calendar. In our next segment, too, we're going to talk about how you can actually bid on those items, but we want you to come out and see us, too. So we'll explain all that soon.
I like what Vicki said earlier. She mentioned that coming to Donley Auctions is like going to a museum that you can buy out of. And
it's a museum that changes every month.
Every month it's
Every
different.
time you turn around, there's something else in there. Because we just held our spring classic, and we'll talk about that next week, too. Everything in there is going to be gone. And then we're moving in all the military stuff. And then once that's gone, we're moving in all of the June antique phonographs and music boxes for our June auction.
Rotating through.
Wow.
And it's always history. It's always historic. And, we set up a nice display. It's always interesting to come and look at it.
That's right. Let's touch a little bit about some news we announced last week in a new division of Donley Auctions called the Donley Group, our real estate division.
It's funny because we're already getting calls on this. Thank you so much. And that's the Donley Auction Realty Group, headed up by my daughter, Shauna Donley. And, we've always been selling real estate, kind of a piece here and a piece there.
Right.
And, of course, my daughter is a realtor. So there's, all the laws, rules, restrictions. Yeah.
Worlds are going to collide for sure in a good way.
In a very good way. And we're already helping people selling their real estate. So if you do have, real estate, there's so many ways that we can help with real estate, whether you're a buyer, whether you're a seller, or whether you rent. We've always can help people with rental or investment property. We'll be able to do it all. Donley Auction Group will help buy, sell, rent, or invest.
That's right. We want to be a one-stop shop for everyone because we know everyone's overwhelmed and just kind of paralyzed sometimes. What do we do next? Give us a call at 815-923-7000, and we'll send you off in the right direction.
And, you hit it right on the head, becoming paralyzed. So often people acquire all these things due to unfortunate deaths in the family, and that's how so much of it happens. And you talk about a disruption in your life, not only the death itself, but then trying to deal with all this estate and everything. You can't just stop what you're doing and handle this.
That's right. We want to help you not only evaluate what you have, but what you can do with it. But I do have a question back to the real estate. Is it just Illinois only property and investments in rentals, or are we talking
right now,
Midwest?
Right now we're set up only in Illinois and Wisconsin.
Illinois and Wisconsin.
But that will change, I'm sure, very soon.
Right. Again, just leave us an email at donleyauctions@outlook.com or consign@donleyauctions.com with information, photographs, anything you have. Tell us. We'll get back to you as soon as we can and give you the next steps. But don't go anywhere, folks. Coming up next, we're going to tell you how to bid at an auction. And also, if you do consign, how you're going to get paid. That's an important question to get answered right here on the Donley Auctions Hour every Saturday on AM 560, The Answer.
The Donley Auctions Hour continues now on AM 560, The Answer.
We are back with the Donley Auctions Hour. I'm Susan, and I'm here with Randy Donley. We are talking about valuable items you might have at home and why you should put them in an auction. We have auctions coming up, so we're looking for specific items. But I love feedback about our radio show. I say I welcome all feedback. And I got a very interesting question from one of our listeners who said, how do your consignors get paid? I think that would be a great item to bring up in your next show. Thank you. Good point.
Susan, I've never thought about
they do get paid.
Even mentioning that, but
I want to talk about it.
That is the end game. What do we always say? We make it fit in your wallet.
That's right.
Okay, everybody gets paid inside 30 days. I mean, that's
30 days of the auction,
right?
That we determine in advance which auction it's going to go in. It might not be the next one, but it will be in any of the upcoming ones where it's the perfect fit.
Right. And what we always want to do, too, is make sure, as you just said, that the items go in the right auction. So just because we go into a home and take, possession of a load of property doesn't mean it's all sold at the same auction.
That's right.
Some of it might go into military. Some of it might go into the arcade auction or
general antiques,
or,
right?
Decorative arts. I mean, there's so many different areas. We want to make it fit properly.
We don't just dump it all into one general auction because our target audience only focuses on certain collectibles.
Right. However, very often we have to do estate work when we're working for banks and executors and everything. Sometimes we do complete estates all at the same time because they're working under a time frame. And,
right.
They may have to get an estate settled inside, 30 or 60 days. So very, very often you'll see a complete estate being sold off at one time, even though sometimes, I feel if we separated some things, it might do a little better, but we're bound by the terms of an estate very often.
That's right. And the commission rate that we negotiate with our consignors is different person to person and depending on what you have. So say you have a huge collection of military and general antiques. Well, it's not going to be the same commission for general antiques as it is for your gun collection. So we negotiate that during the contract review process, and
that's correct.
And let you know when those items will come up in auction.
Depends on the value of the items.
Depends on the value of the items. But we do like to get everybody paid within 30 days.
Yeah, absolutely. And we simply write a check, and you can even pick the check up. I mean, it doesn't matter. We mail all over because so many times people have moved out of state. So we're just mailing a check to Florida or California or wherever the folks may be. But a lot of times people say, hey, can I just stop by and pick it up? Rather than check.
And I'll say, bring some more stuff when you come out.
Always.
That works great. So, yes, we are looking for very specific items. We have a military and gun auction coming up in May 20th. Looking for firearms, ammunition, military uniforms, edged weapons. You got it. June is our antique phonograph and music box auction. I bet we're still looking for consignments for that, but let us know what you have. We're looking for certain things. And, of course, if you'd like to bid at our auction, it's so easy. Easiest thing to do is just come on out to Union, Illinois. We do have a live auction. It's also online. You can place an absentee bid and a phone bid. But,
if we haven't mentioned what you have, let us know. I had a guy call me the other day with a marble collection that we're thrilled to take. We're going to be selling marbles, folks. You name it, we'll sell it.
What does Sean say? Big or small? Donley Auctions does it all. We're going to steal that line, Sean Thompson. Thank you very much. But again, thanks for joining us this week on the Donley Auctions Hour, everyone. We're here every Saturday at 1 o'clock. Go to DonleyAuctions.com to see our calendar. We want you to know what's coming up. And last but not least, I'm Susan.
And I'm Randy Donley.
And we'll see you at the auction.
Thanks for listening to the Donley Auctions Hour on AM 560, The Answer. Check out all the latest information on upcoming auctions and collectibles at DonleyAuctions.com. And while you're there, you can contact someone about buying or selling your collectibles or estates. That's DonleyAuctions.com.